Welcome back to the program Conversations with Zelisa. To all of our viewers on Synergy TV, all of our viewers on the Caribbean Showtime television in Canada, to all of our listeners on U975 FM Multicultural Radio, thank you so much for choosing us, allowing us to influence you in a positive way, and questions that you may have, you get those answers. A very good morning and a very warm welcome to Mr. Kevin Fotheringham, non-profit lead creative consultant, and today he's here to talk about promoting the arts, especially when it comes to our youth. Social change. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Zelisa. I'm happy to be here.
I think we're blessed to have someone like yourself here because you know, we really want our children, our youth today, who are going to be our leaders, to make the right choices, to help polish them, to make them well-rounded, to inculcate the right morals and values, to enhance their lives so they'll be better leaders.
Correct.
Better parents.
Better people.
Better people. I love that. Before we get into our topic, please, I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself and what ignited that flame and passion in you.
Okay, so my name is Kevin Fotheringham. I have been involved in the non-profit sector as well as the creative sector for the past 20 years. So it's like straight out of school.
Yeah.
And I spent some time in the UK studying, and I came back home with the mission to do something in the arts.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough for me. So I got into more of the non-profit world, working with youth and that kind of thing. And in the last 7 years or so, I decided to merge the two sides of myself, the arts as well as the social change part, to create programs and opportunities that we can use creativity to really enhance the lives of others and to affect our society as a whole. So I have a non-profit which we founded called For Common Good Platform. And For Common Good Platform focuses on amplifying youth voice.
Right.
So,
oh, the voice is nice.
Yeah.
Good.
So not just their physical voice, but their ability to tell their story. So literally right now we are working with a group of students from Athens Academy in El Dorado. It's 10 of them, and we have been working with them for the past 6 months to teach them how to write. So we taught them how to tell their story, how to tell the story of their communities, and tell a story of an unsung hero. And it's being published into a book. So it's the first of its kind, written by teenagers from their point of view, which comes out in a month.
Perhaps young budding journalists, where we see some quality journalism, you know?
Yeah,
and
sure.
That's what we need, to all those things inculcated. So far, what are some of the challenges that you are facing as a non-profit organization?
Funding is always a challenge. I mean, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
But as I said, most of my career has been in the non-profit sector at a very senior level.
Yeah.
So my last job before I founded my own NGO was the regional marketing manager for a public health agency.
Right.
And they were funded by donors from abroad.
Yeah.
So we were working in HIV, gender-based violence prevention, NCD prevention, and stuff like that. And I got the opportunity to travel the region. But not just that, I got the opportunity to learn about how an international NGO is run.
Nice.
So I learned about grant writing, I learned about how to budget for things properly, how to seek partnerships with private and public.
Great.
And so for me, yes, funding is always a challenge because you want to do more, but also it's just, I think, getting into the communities you want to get into, reaching the populations that you want to reach to. Sometimes that could be a little challenging.
I think what is extremely sad, I would say, and I'm using the word sad, because when we see our youth, whom we need to invest in, and the authorities not understanding that a lot of the problems, the root to a lot of the problems are disenchanted children with no focus, with no passion, with no even identity of who I am and what I want to do or become. and that is sad. So then we see good people such as yourself and your organizations intervening, but then again, lack of funding. How can you have the outreach to help? You talk about 10 children, there are tens of thousands of children that need help. And more so when you look at the violence, like it starts in the schools, the behavior of the children in schools, on the road, the profanity that you hear bubbling out of their mouth. After school care, a lot of parents themselves are struggling, living day to day, working day to day in order to meet demands in terms of paying bills, putting food on the table, surviving, doing 2 and 3 jobs. So it's a little difficult. We have a lot of, I mean, when you talk about social ills, we are bombarded with it. Especially this, we do. And you see it because you are out there. And then you have the issue with single parents, especially single mothers, trying to cope, trying to deal, and still trying to be, she's the hand that feeds, she is the prime minister in terms of her home. And she herself is struggling as a person. And our kids are just sidelined.
Well, I like how you phrased it because, I mean, we have done many programs over the years, but I think this most recent one, which is the smallest, because we decided to really focus on these 10 youth as opposed to trying to do 100 and do a program that wouldn't last.
And you polish them.
And we polish them, but not just that. Remember, we taught them to tell their stories. And the types of things that came out. I was reading it, their principals reading it, we crying or whatever, because they were allowed for the first time to tell their story.
Express
so a lot about the single parent homes, a lot about abuse, a lot about identity, a lot of stuff came out.
On top of the list, what did you see? The 3 important or the 3 reoccurring problems that you saw? Could you
interestingly enough, not having a stable place to live. So a lot of them were moved from grandmother to this one to that one, from different countries and that kind of thing.
No consistency.
And it was, I didn't know because, I mean, I didn't grow up like that. So it's like, but then reading it now, I'm like, but I didn't know that this was such a thing. And even one of them was like, I don't want to move anymore. You know, so that was a thing.
They just want to feel grounded, a sense of belonging.
Correct. Mental health came up. So one of the students, she was brave enough to write about her clinically diagnosed mental health issues and journey. And a lot of them,
I say this, mental health is real.
Suicide is up.
It's,
you know, that kind of,
correct.
So
You're correct. A sense of not being loved, feeling comfort.
Anxiety issues is a lot. Then the other one was more identity and self-love. So a lot of them had issues with their body image and that kind of thing. That's another thing.
I think that's sad because billboards, magazines, social media, we're bombarded to think you have to look a certain way. You have to have a certain color. You have to have a certain hair, you know, that. And you don't feel as if you belong or you could fit in or you have to be a certain size.
Some of them don't fit in their own families. So they literally wrote about how they were treated different, you know, lighter skinned sister. But and it's amazing that these things still exist.
It exists, of course it does. And it even happens in schools with the peer, not just home, but outside of the home as well, which is something I agree that needs to be addressed. I'm in conversation with a young man with a passion for life, a passion for empowering the youth of our nation and doing it as well through art and different strengths. You know, a lot of people think, my child needs to be a lawyer, my child needs to be a doctor, you need to be, you know, but there are many people who would have gone into the world of art.
Of course.
Capitalize on their talent, their voice, singing, dancing, playing an instrument, acting, developing those gifts and becoming, and would have taken us to international standards. You know, we could pinpoint a lot of our own people, cricketers, sportsmen, things like that. Why are we not? Why are we not encouraging these things? Where did we fall short?
That's a big question. And even when I was going to school, our art program stopped at Form 3. So we were focused more on academia, you know, the so-called prestige school. So we stopped at academia. So, you know, so we were focused on that.
Yeah.
So I think it comes back to the educational system and probably not applying enough importance to the arts. But I see now, like, people like my niece, and they were doing theater and whatnot. I'm like, wow, this is good.
Excellent.
But then what next?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think that the systems and the structures are in place for persons who really want to pursue a career in the arts after studying it.
So we've discussed perhaps problems. We've discussed issues.
Solutions.
Now we're going to go to solutions, and we're going to do that when we return. This is the program Conversations with Zelisa. I'm in conversation with a brilliant young man who's very ambitious and is very focused, and, you know, has a dream and a passion to see our children evolve and be the best that they can. I'm speaking of no other than Mr. Kevin Fotheringham, and we're going to continue our conversation. We're going to talk about solutions when we return. If you would like to send in a message, if you think you know what the solution is, or you'd like to lend your advice, you can send us a WhatsApp. I'll read it to Kevin, and we'll respond when we return. Stay with us.
Due to the high volume of calls and requests, Scavenger Expo has been extended until July 31st. Just a few more days to go. We've got everything you need. This is your last chance to shop. Ethnic Indian wear, footwear, furniture, jewelry, musical instruments, home decor, kitchenware, and so much more. Authentic Indian food court, spa, and much more. Scavenger Expo, located opposite Medford gas station, Shoguners. Now closing on July 31st from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., including weekends and holidays. Scavenger Expo. Check us out today.
Super quality supermarket. Best quality and great prices. Get your fresh fruits, vegetables and meats. It's a one-stop shop for the most affordable groceries, baby items, kitchen supplies, bathroom accessories, car care supplies, pet food, toys and lots more, all at Super Quality Supermarket. Wide aisles, fully air-conditioned and secured parking. 3 locations nationwide: Couva Car Park, Couva, 98 Endeavour Road, Shoguners, and 47 Tissue Drive, Trincity. Super Quality Supermarket. Tile Expression Limited, the #1 leader in tiles. Large stock, unbeatable prices, wide variety of porcelain tiles, ceramic tiles, wall and floor tiles, residential and commercial, granite and quartz countertops. Best quality from Spain, Italy, Brazil, India and China. Tile Expression Limited, conveniently located Monroe Road, Kunapir. Telephone 693-0015 or 223-TILE.
Welcome back to the program Conversations with Zelisa. I'm in conversation with Mr. Kevin Fotheringham, and you know, we're talking about are you transforming lives, certainly making a difference. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
You know, I need to use this example. I've been to India a couple of times. Every time I go, you know, people would ask, because they would hear the accent. They know I'm not. Yeah, where are you from? Where, you know, what part of the world? And I would say Trinidad. And there are some who would identify Trinidad, and I'll tell you why. Where is that? The minute you say, do you know Brian Lara, Dwayne Bravo, you call those names, oh yeah. They know Trinidad. They placed us on the map. You've named a few as well that have taken us to international waters and standards and recognized us, taken us, sons and daughters of this soil, and recognize. And we're talking about people in the arts. You mentioned Peter
Peter
Minshall,
Minshall, yeah.
and so much more that we could pinpoint and,
A lot,
and
yeah.
say a lot. And that is why it's important that we don't take any child for granted. The potential is simply amazing
Yeah.
of whom that child can be and what they could do to make a difference in this world.
Agreed.
Yeah? I want to talk about now, in terms of your shoes, with your expertise, the exposure you would have had. Let's talk about solutions.
Well, definitely. That's why our focus is now on amplifying youth voice. So I think that is one of the most important things. If we are to aim to transform the youth, if we are to aim to transform communities, then they must be part of the process of building whatever system. So it's not about us adults creating a program for youth. It should be a program with youth. So we need to hear what they need. We don't know what they need.
Allowing
them
to blossom.
Correct.
Allowing
them,
like, and you see that you've had that first-hand. The reason being out of this project that you're working on with that book, allowing them to be creative in their thinking and writing and bringing that out.
Exactly.
Do you think in terms of education, our children are at a place, I mean, in terms of writing, what age group did you?
We worked with 14 to 18.
14 to 18.
Yeah. And I was pleasantly surprised. So the principal handpicked the students based on their level of creativity to be part of the program.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the 14-year-olds, you know, wrote more and better than some of the 18-year-olds.
Really?
Yeah, because I think probably like not from our time, a sort of speak when spoken to kind of thing. These had a real voice and they could really express their wants and needs and talk about themselves in a way that I don't think that we could have.
You said something that's very interesting. Speak when you're spoken to. I want you to address that and why you use that term.
Yeah. So having traveled extensively, I've come into contact with youth in different programs, or just even my own cousins abroad and stuff like that. And if you ask a 5-year-old American child to tell me about yourself, they will be speaking for the entire day. Whereas here, it's a real challenge for some of our young people to speak about themselves because we did not foster that environment to let them speak.
I came from an environment and time where discipline was extremely important. Speak when you're spoken to, and you know, there's a time and place for everything. I remember people visiting my home when I was a child and commented to my parents, do you have children? Because we were not seen.
Quiet,
We were not seen or heard. Big people around and they're talking, move out, get away kind of thing. Which I felt was a form of discipline, and perhaps, you know, there's a time and place for everybody and everything. And so, you know, I came from that sort of environment, like you say. However, I do have a 5-6-year-old who is, I'm talking sometimes very expressive. She says it as she sees it, very expressive. She says things. I mean, a lot of people say, but this child is above average. And it's not because she's above average. It's because she's allowed to express herself. And she has an opinion. Because I allow her to have an opinion.
And a lot of homes
and I think
still
that
have
is
that.
important.
And
I think that is
important.
Don't you think it's... Now, I'm not saying I'm going to allow her to use profanity and I'm going to allow her to be out of context and be rude and things like that. But I truly believe in allowing children to express themselves and have an opinion. That's the only way they could blossom and their personality can excel. What are your thoughts on that?
That is exactly what I'm saying. That is like you explained it perfectly. We're not saying to get rid of discipline. Discipline is important. Yeah, but these young people, because they are young people, they aren't children, they are young people. So they need to be allowed to express themselves and develop and show their personalities. And then us as the older ones now, having allowed them to express, we can get an idea of who they are and what they want. So if you don't allow your child to express themselves, you will never know whether your child is a gifted writer, a gifted artist, a gifted singer, a gifted whatever.
Great point.
Yeah.
How do you know? Because you put a muzzle, or you don't, you think academics is all that
Correct.
matters and nothing else
Correct.
matters, which is so far from the truth.
Correct.
Because I would have seen children who blossomed and became giants, I would say, and it is because of managing their academics with the extracurricular,
Correct,
like
yeah.
dance and music and instruments and singing and things like that, allow them to blossom and be well-rounded. Where are we lacking? I mean, you've had the taste of international
Right.
waters, so you had the exposure. You understand different because you think outside of the
of
box.
that, yeah.
You're not limiting your thoughts.
Yeah.
You and your organization took 10 children and helped these children to be polished, to allow them to blossom. So we are sure now that at least there are 10 children who are going to go out there
Yeah.
different with a plus rather than a negative.
A little more confidence in themselves.
Where do
Yeah.
what do we lack? What do we need in this country to take tens of thousands of children? We would have seen the decline in terms of education, even
Yeah.
academics,
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah.
I consider us failing. As much as there are children that are excelling and doing well, there are double the amounts that are below. Where do we go? What do we do? How many non-profit organizations are going to come and struggle and battle without intervention?
Exactly. Exactly. So it's really, you have to be passionate about it. And at some point in time, we need to, yes, our, public sector, the government agencies and stuff have to do more. But then if we wait on that, nothing will happen the way we want it to do. So, I mean, I think it's up to the home. So it's up to, as we come back to it, parents who are seeing that their children are exhibiting certain traits. It's up to them now in the home to start it there, to get them involved in things. And, I mean, sometimes you can't afford it because piano lessons are expensive.
It's
things are expensive. They're expensive.
It's expensive.
So
I
now
can
it's about
tell you.
finding entities or people, or even people now volunteering their services
Nice.
to help.
Giving back.
Correct.
I love
so
that.
it takes more giving back.
I love that, giving back. What is your message today? What is your ultimate goal?
My ultimate goal is to, which I preach all the time, it's the seeing the power of creativity to be a catalyst for transformation.
Yeah.
And how we could measure it, because I'm always about measuring. So how could we measure to see if this creativity and this arts thing really can affect change?
Yeah.
And once we can measure, we can then mobilize.
Your parting words.
Go out there. If you have a skill or a talent and you are able to give back to a child in need who wants to develop their own creativity, give of your time and talent.
I like that. I think that's important. It's
Yeah.
very powerful. It sounds casual, but it's very powerful. If you can afford, you don't have to give. I love the fact you can't do 100, you did 10.
10, yeah.
And with that, the next time you'll say, you know what, we did 10, let's do 15.
Yeah.
If we take and have that mindset, and we're not saying to you to go out and give 30, whatever, or
If you can't,
whatever.
yeah.
But if you could empower one
One
child, help them with their school books. If you know you do piano and you're good at it and you could do a little training and you could give a little scholarship to help one or two or three, then do it.
Agreed.
And that is
Agreed.
your way of imparting, of giving back, helping someone to develop who would then have the power to help many in
correct.
time. One by one, it's going to grow
Correct.
and become something and make a difference. But don't sit idly by with a gift or a talent and just always expect the monetary value. Try to give at least one. Or if you can't give a whole bread with your bake one, give a couple
Half,
slices to
yeah.
your neighbor who
Yeah.
they have no food. That's making a difference, little by little. I want to thank you kindly. I want to applaud you,
Thank you.
as a young person who, I see that energy and that vibe and that passion in you, that drive within yourself to make a difference. I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
Not many people are going to take that challenge. You did. And I just wish you the very best as you and your organization grew from strength to strength. We're going to have you back on the program because I truly feel you have a lot to lend in terms of advice to help people to transform lives. So may God bless you.
Thank you so much,
All the
Zelisa.
best, and we'll see you really soon.
Okay, thank you.
This is where we've got to wrap things up on the program. Make a difference. You can. You could. Rather than buy a pack of cigarette, a couple rounds of beers, a bottle of alcohol, think about a child in need. Think about someone in need and make a difference in their lives. And you will see the reward is phenomenal within yourself, within your maker and you. Keep smiling, be positive, and always know the best is yet to come. I thank you kindly for choosing us to continue to stay with us, U97.5 FM Multicultural Radio. Here's reminding you that with God, all things are possible. I am Zelisa Boodoosingh Rupani. Thanks again for choosing us. Be safe, be blessed.